Hey, I'm Tanya Franklin, and welcome to Tricks My Dog Taught Me, a podcast for lighthearted and occasional deep conversations with family and friends revolving around my journey as a dog mom to my little guy, Zach the Toy Poodle, which prompted me to self-publish my first book. Shit My Dog Taught Me, with Zach on the cover. And, it's where I share some of my insights through poetry and weekly life lessons. So for today's episode, I invited a person who's technically my niece by marriage, but I feel like we're more like cousins because we're so close in age.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm like, my cousin. I'm like, wait a minute. She's my aunt.
Yes, and it's like I enjoy her company or conversation, and when we get an opportunity to connect at family events, and we're both married to Franklin men, and she's just an overall kind person. So DJ Franklin, DJ, thank you for agreeing to be my guest for week 9's poem Motive of Praise, and I had you in mind for this episode because I love seeing how you applaud and praise your daughter on her gymnastics journey. And, you also strike me as a person who offers genuine praise to others as well, In addition to me praising my own daughter, Quinn, if I had a nickel for every time I praise Zach saying, good boy, good job, boy, I would be rich. There's
No, and
something, yes, there's something about
love it.
just offering praise, and it got me thinking about the motive behind it, which is actually the inspiration behind the poem. So I just want to share it with you and the listeners before we get into our conversation, just so you have some context. Motive of praise, the motive, emote feelings of joy, the standing ovation. Good boy, accept the praise, accept adulation, for positive affirmations cause unyielding motivation. So I looked up the word praise. I think we both know what it means, but I wanted to look it up in the dictionary. So it's a verb and a noun, and both of them have similar meanings. And the Oxford Dictionary says that it's the expression of approval or admiration for someone or something. And I want to start off with a simple yet potentially complex question. So I did a little research, and according to Psychology Today, compliments and praise often make the receivers feel better than most people anticipate. So I'm wondering, whether it be home life, at work, by friends, or even a random person you encounter, how does it make you feel when someone praises you or your accomplishments?
It's funny. I thought of that. I was hoping that would be the first question because that's the one I I was thinking about when I was reading through your text, and I always have a hard time with it. I feel like
Mm,
it might be because I'm in a leadership role at work. I feel like I should be the one doing that. So I like getting it, but it's like when I do, I'm like it almost feels weird.
mm,
I equate it to I don't, this memory just popped up, but the memory of my bridal shower, having all that attention. Like I knew everyone was there because they love me, they're happy for me, and the Franklin man. But it just felt weird, like having all that attention because I'm always the one throwing the surprises and surprising people and giving the praises. And when it comes to me, it's not that I don't feel like I deserve it. It just
mhm.
maybe it's the attention part of it. I've always struggled with that. I like to be more in the background.
Mm. I think I've struggled with it too. Certainly, probably for similar and different reasons. I think a lot for me, it's because I don't want to send a signal that I'm feeling like I'm better than anyone or anything like that. And
Yeah.
sometimes that makes me feel like, well, if I'm like, that's right, I'm this and that. And so even though I might feel good in receiving that praise, I will admit there are times when I might diminish myself instead of accepting the praise. I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older, but when I was younger, oftentimes And the interesting part, and one of the questions I wanna ask later, but the interesting part is that I wanted praise, but then at the same time, it was one of those situations where I wanted it, but then my response to it, I would feel awkward, even though I wanted the praise, you know? Because for me, yes, it definitely feels good, and especially if it's authentic because, sometimes it's not authentic, but when I'm praised, a lot of times I will say what it would do is it'll push me to work harder, or it'll push me when I'm just not sure if it's something that I'm capable of doing. Even when I think about how I was a student or even a student of fitness currently and learning about strength training, it makes me lock in more because back when I had a trainer who was helping me on my fitness journey, I couldn't always see like my growth or capabilities, but if he commented on my form or how strong I was becoming, even if I started feeling fatigue, it's weird. My energy level would start to surge and I would just be committed to keep pushing. And it was just because he gave me this praise. So I'm wondering, even though you might feel a little uncomfortable, has praise ever helped you keep going when you were ready to throw in the towel or even if you weren't quite motivated?
I feel like I'm I'm immediately thinking of work scenarios, even though our
Mhm.
lives are not just work, but I feel like that's the area where most people probably seek it the most. Like I don't know, I'm not looking to wake up in the morning, come downstairs, and get an immediate praise from hubby or something like. But it's like at work, it seems to mean more for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's because these are people that don't see us as much as family
Mhm.
does, or if it should be automatic with family almost. But I will say, I've had in the past year and a half, I've had 3 different managers, but I've already known all of them. Like I have a history working with them, so they know me. It's just that now they know me as my manager, so it's just a different relationship. And during we just went through our review period, so lots of praising and, ideas for improvement. I'm kind of in that post-review mode because we just gave all of our reviews at the end of January.
Mhm.
But part of the process was also doing a self-appraisal where you praise yourself appraise yourself, and your manager has that to compare it while they're doing your appraisal. And my manager told me that she said, "I think you're a little hard on yourself because I guess you can be like that top level, but the inner saboteur always puts you down a notch because you're like, well, I could still work in that area." So you
Mhm.
you automatically bring yourself down a peg, and it's not intentional. It's just it might be a perfectionist thing. I don't know if you have little
Yes.
perfectionist things about you or not,
Yes.
but
Guilty.
it's like I know that I can do better at something. I'm gonna be honest about it. I'm not gonna lie on the self appraisal. The part that, made me where you said where it helped me bounce back is that being a first-time manager, it's I'm on my 4th year as a manager, so it's still pretty new and I'm learning things, but getting that encouragement, like, "You've got this part and that part," like, that's your natural thing, so leaning into that and using it to get through the hard things, like, everyone will respect you. Like, if you have this level of respect already, then the hard conversations are definitely a lot easier because you've already proven yourself in the first, 10 things. So and also being able to be more intentional. That was something because towards the end of the year, you get to December, the holidays, the manager flame is starting to go out. I'm like, "Oh, I just need a break. I need the holidays." 'Cause it's hard to be on all the time where you always gotta be on and there for your team, and you need that praise to kinda boost you up, so that's the good thing about it being at the end of the year. Because things that I was hard on myself about, she was like, "You're doing great at that. I think you
Mhm.
really could've put yourself a little higher on that and just work on these things." And the things that she suggested are the things that I wanna work on, so I was like, "Oh, okay, I am doing this right, I'm doing the best I can, I'm taking it one day at a time, I'm giving myself grace, and really trying to lean into the talents that I have to get through harder times because,
Mhm.
you're gonna have the conflict and everything, and I think that's where I struggle the most is with conflict, but the praise was, "Keep doing what you're doing, just tweak this," and I already knew I had to do that, so it was and you might have thought that with your trainer example. You know you need to do it, but just hearing someone else say it, you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm heading in the right direction."
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's like with looking in a mirror, for example, that if you ever, and there's something that suggests this actually, dressing room mirrors or in the lighting is set up in such a way to make you always look really nice in certain outfits. And then you get home and you try it on, and you're like, this doesn't look how it looked. And so I'm using that analogy to say that sometimes the mirror we're looking at, reflecting back what we've done, we're the one presenting a harsh light onto ourselves and saying, "Oh, I don't like how that looks." And someone else is like, "But you look fabulous. You're doing this, you're doing that." And you're like, "I don't know." And so I think sometimes we have to think about how we're looking at ourselves. I know I do that often. And while I don't want to admit this, when I was younger, I often relied on praise to feel value in myself and my abilities. And something that you mentioned earlier, and sadly, I will say that this was not always the case with me, is you said, "Oh, well, when it comes to family, it's something that you expect."
it should
And
be
sometimes it
automatic, right?
didn't, yes, it would be automatic. And sometimes it was not automatic. And I always like to be clear, I'm not talking about my mom, but there were times when I just longed for it, and I equated it to a form of love or acceptance. And no, don't get me wrong, I always was someone who was a hard worker, like you mentioned, being a perfectionist, and I would always put forth my best efforts, but one of the reasons that I was working hard, admittedly, was because I was awaiting that phrase, "Job well done," or "I'm proud of you." Yes, good job. And granted, I think a big part of it was self-esteem issues and some of the
I could
treatment
see
that I
that.
received when I was younger, just wanting to feel love and get that figurative gold star that made me feel so good. So I'm just wondering, do you think that some people may use offering praise as a way of dangling the figurative carrot to keep the person going, and that maybe it's not so genuine?
Hmm. It's like I'm trying to think if that ever happened with me. If it
That's
is,
good if it has not.
I'd probably be oblivious to it. I'd be like, "Okay." I can say, using work as an example again, I've been guilty of doing that myself, especially in those times where, the manager energy level is low, and I'm like, "All right, I know I gotta keep these people motivated," but, trying to cater to everyone's personalities and what they need. I'm thankful I have a small team at least, but, there's certain personalities where you do have to kinda do the dangling because you want a certain result, but in my case, like, I never feel like it's disingenuous. I feel like, if anything, I feel in the times where it's because of conflict, that's where I might get disingenuous because I'm hiding behind this nice facade because I don't wanna hurt anyone's feelings.
Hmm.
That's when I do get I myself see myself doing that, where I'm not being genuine, but only because I'm trying to do it for the benefit of it's like I'm thinking 3 steps ahead because I know this person might, blow up when X, Y, and Z happens. So I'm trying to keep them calm before it's like I'm learning to try to think several steps ahead, and with that, it's actually making me more intentional and less reactive. Like, I don't wanna be reactive,
Hmm.
I kinda wanna plan ahead. I feel like if you're planning ahead, then you're not doing it just for a future gain. But for work, I feel like it's all like a game you have to play with
Hmm.
people. But then if I flip it back to, you brought up, Shayla's gymnastics, and if I look at it as a like a from a competitive standpoint, these coaches, they have tons of girls with all different personalities, and they gotta try to encourage them to do very hard skills in short amounts of time and making them feel good about it I imagine because there was a this past summer, the summertime is when they choose which girls they're gonna move up or keep at the same level or whatever, and there were, a couple girls that were they're gonna move up, and then you're wondering, "Is my girl gonna move up?" And I'm trying to think how to word this in a praise type of sense, like, she kinda felt like she was just getting kinda, like, empty praise, like, "Oh,
Mm,
that's good," because their focus was more on the ones that they wanted to move up to the next level. So, she understood it though, she's like, "I understand, it's a lot of work and they gotta get them ready," but it was almost like a not dismissive, but just a priority shift, and she felt it
mhm,
because when everyone's doing the same thing, the praise feels kinda equal, but then you see, like, these 2 that are, like, rock stars, and you're like, "Oh," and the focus was just a little different. It's kind of it's not really a praise thing, but I feel like I feel like she makes it seem like she doesn't need it, but this was a good example where I felt like she really did need it because
mm.
she noticed it when it wasn't there. And it's not that it wasn't there, it was just less because the coach's focuses had to change.
Mhm. And as you're bringing it up, this is definitely nothing like gymnastics, but I found myself in a situation during the summer, I was doing fit camp, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm hoping that the person who started it continues it for this upcoming summer, but the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm there, I'm a go-getter, I'm doing all the stuff, and there were other people who were there, and I became and this has happened a few times with me, I became the star pupil, and it was like, "All right, Tanya, she's gonna leave you all in the dust." And so, while offering praise, not that anyone was mean mugging me, but that's when I felt so awkward. It was on one hand, I'm like, "Wow, he's acknowledging how well I'm able to do these exercises, or
Yeah.
that I'm not winded," or even when we run a lap at the end, and he would say, "Well, we already know Tanya's gonna blow past everybody." And he was saying it in a way where it was motivating me and potentially motivating others, because there was one person who says, "You keep me motivated because I see how fast and how you're moving, and I'm trying to keep up with that." But then at the same time, it made me feel bad because I never shared this with him, but I just wondered, is anyone feeling like, "Oh, here she goes, showing off?" And I think sometimes when someone is offering praise, and in that instance, I believe it was genuine, but I did wonder if the other people who were there felt dismissed because I was the main one. And he would give praise to others, but I felt that I became the one who got more praise than others at certain moments. And I did wonder if people were feeling bad. They probably didn't feel anything. It's probably all in my head, but I did
But
wonder.
I like the way you spun that story because it made the question not that the question didn't make sense, but I'm hearing the question a different way now when you
Mhm.
told me your story because I was immediately trying to think of a disingenuous scenario, but that wasn't that's what isn't the example you had at all. It was like painting a whole picture. It's not that the person was intentionally they were being genuine, but
Mhm.
sometimes that can overlap into your way of thinking, like, "Oh, I wonder what everyone else is thinking." Like, yeah, he's praising me, but when he keeps saying this, yeah, it's like and I'm thinking about, um, we do the Clifton Strengths at work. I don't know if you've taken those Clifton Strengths where
No.
there's a top 5, and we actually, every new employee is encouraged to take them. We have them on our desks at work so everyone knows what you are, and my first is I'm a woo. I win others over. That's what I just learned that's what WOO stands for, which is hilarious because I even went through the strength coaching training, and I've only done it twice, but I've coached coworkers. It's like there's like onboarding coaching and there's coaching you can do if someone just got promoted, and I've done a couple of those, and the thing with the strengths is, although they're your strengths, it can also get you in trouble and become weaknesses also.
Mhm.
What you just reminded me of is my woo, my winning others over. There's where I feel like that gets in my way. You have to find the ways that they get in your way too. Because I have this reputation and my second strength is positivity also. Woo and positivity together. It's like everyone expects you to always be, up and jumping and hey and positive. And it's like even strangers, like if another coworker says, "Oh, this is DJ. She's great." And it's this whole resume of the praise and the greatness, and I do stand by it and agree with it, but it's like kinda like how you're the fast runner. It's like, "Go ask DJ because she's so nice and she'll tell you.
Mhm.
She'll help you," and that's a good example of like, the praise is great, and I love that, but there's also the part where have to make sure I'm representing my strength self, and,
Mhm.
like, I gotta stand up to it, and even if I'm having a bad day and I'm struggling and I might not have time to help you and be that nice DJ, I have to do it. I have because that's that's who I am, So that's the part where when you say how others are thinking, you're reminding me of that. Like, do people wonder, does she ever have a bad day? Does she ever like not
Mhm.
is she ever not in the mood to be positive?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure the people wonder that about me. Even if I say I'm upset, they say, "You still sound the same." Like, I'm very upset about that.
And
But
I
it's
I see that we're alike that way, and I
Mhm.
wonder that about you also. Like when I see your videos and stuff, I'm wondering if that same day, did you, like, yell at someone or cuss someone out? I'm wondering, like, it's like I wanna see that because I'm I'm the same way, and even if I'm upset, people are like, "Well, for?" Like
Mhm.
yeah,
And even in you just bringing it up and you mentioned how excuse me, even with you just bringing it up and you mentioned how, sometimes a person may introduce a stranger to you and they're already praising you. I'm wondering, like, for you, if it's someone who you don't really know and they're offering praise or a compliment, how's that make you feel? Because I'm thinking about, like, so if I'm in a store or something and a stranger just tells me they like my outfit or they like my hair, or you mentioned my videos. If someone comments who I don't necessarily know, but they're in the fitness setting and they may comment under my fitness video reel and like with fire emojis or a flex emoji or something.
yeah.
And I will say it does make me feel nice that they stop by to offer praise, especially if I don't know them. So I'm wondering, how does it make you feel when a random stranger says something nice to you or about you?
Goodness, that happened recently. Where was I at? I think it's when we went on the family cruise for the holiday. We
Mhm.
were It's just like going to the airport, like, when you first get on the boat, you're putting your baggage through the TSA thing, and we had something wrapped up, and we had to unwrap it so they could inspect it, and I was just flustered, and I was trying to get it done because I didn't wanna hold up the line, and the TSA person, she said, "Your hair is so pretty." Like, she just and she was so calm, and here I am, like, flustered, trying to hurry up because you know how it is at the airport, they're yelling, "Keep it
Mhm.
moving." And I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "I just, like, wet it and left the house, but thank you." Like, and that kinda, like, calmed me down. I was like,
Mhm.
"It's really not that serious. I'm just getting on a boat. I can take my time." Like, I was just worried about the task at hand, and it made me feel good, and I was like, "You know what? I'm about to go on vacation. Let me chill a little bit." But so that was really nice, and
Mhm.
I've learned about myself, especially as I get older, that when I do get not that looks are everything, but as women, when we age, when someone compliments our hair or outfit or how we look, we're like, "Okay, I still got it?" So I felt like that, like, oh, because she was young, and I was like, "Oh, you're so nice." Yeah, and the flip side of that with, work, if someone comes over and says, "This is DJ, she's great," and we've had a lot of turnover, and if new when newer people say that about me, it does make me feel good that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be
Mhm.
doing with my job because someone had to tell them that. So if it's going down the chain that I'm this type of person, I do like having that reputation. It's not a horrible reputation to have at all. But when a newer employee already has that feeling about me, I know it's because someone more senior probably told them that.
Mhm.
And that's really a great feeling, and that when they feel comfortable to come to me, I look at that as a whole trust thing, and trust is also huge praise. When someone trusts you, that's like the ultimate praise you can get when no one questions an answer I give them and they take it as Bible. I'm like, "Oh, okay. They trust me." That's a praise too. They don't even have to say anything. Just saying, "Thank
Mhm.
you so much," and they knowing that I gave them the right answer. So I like those silent praises too, when like, you could just say thank you, and I'm just like
Yes, yes,
yeah.
absolutely, and so even with you mentioning, silent praise or receiving a praise from a stranger, I'm wondering if someone praises you or offers a compliment, do you ever feel the need to reciprocate? Like you said the example of you and the lady's like, "Oh, your hair is so nice." Like I find that sometimes people they automatically reciprocate. Like even with someone saying, and this is not a compliment necessarily, but this I've been guilty of doing this one by mistake. Mother's Day, and it'll be perhaps it's a server, and the server is a man, and he's like, "Oh, and happy Mother's Day," and I'm like, "Same to
Yes!
you." So I'm wondering, is it a knee-jerk reaction where sometimes someone offers a compliment and you just immediately respond back, or do you just say thank you and you don't say anything else? And it's not a matter of being rude, but you just say thank you and you don't feel the need to reciprocate.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to one up with anything like, "Oh, yeah, your hair is nice too," like something like that. It's more like because people when people are nice, it's just like with, like, filling out reviews for a product. Most of the time, it's if somebody didn't like it, and rarely do you see positive feedback. It's like people are always so quick to give feedback when something's wrong, and I'm always, like, completely opposite, so if someone goes out of their way to say something nice like that, especially if it's a stranger, I know that I don't want it to look like it's not appreciated by saying something like, "Oh, yeah, you're here too," like that. That's like the awkward, I gotta say something and react type of answer. I genuinely try to let the person know, like, "Oh my gosh, that was so nice of you. Like, you didn't have to say that or you didn't have to do that." And I'm always so silly, like, I always find a way to make the person laugh because sometimes it does feel awkward, and so, if anything, instead of reciprocating, I f and you're just making me realize this now, like, I'll downplay it instead, like, "Why's my hair look nice?" I'll just say "Oh, all I did was wet it and out the door." Like, I'm always that's usually what my reaction is. Instead of
Mhm,
feeling like I have to reciprocate, I'm trying to make them feel comfortable, and I'm like, "Oh, this is no big deal, like, I just wash and go, girl, like, nothing like that." When sometimes just "thank you" probably is enough, but I
mhm,
I do admit that it doesn't always feel like enough, so I feel like I have to have a justification or show that I appreciate it more than just, "Oh, thank you," because really, if thank you is enough for me when I do something for somebody, why do I always have to justify myself or something? Like, why can't my hair just look nice and I'd be like, "Thank you."
yes, yeah, why can't you own that? Why do you have to downplay? You shouldn't have to downplay either. I think that people can or at least for me, I feel like they can sense your energy and you being genuine and saying, "Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that."
Yeah.
Uh, and they can sense that it's not necessary to say, "Oh, all I did was just wash it and left out the
Yeah,
door."
I always have
Because
to
and I say this as someone who is guilty of doing these things, so I've been trying to be more conscientious and just accepting it and stopping short of downplaying or diminishing whatever it is that they may have praised or offered a compliment.
yeah, and I know it's enough. It's almost like I'm trying to make them feel comfortable that they already complimented me. It's like they already gave you the compliment. What are you trying to make them feel better about it for?
Mhm.
Now that I think about it, it's so silly. Yeah.
Mhm.
More
And
so
I
with
mean
strangers though, because you're like,
yeah.
why are you going out of your way? No, no, it's this is easy. You could do it too.
Mhm, mhm,
Yeah.
and I feel like because it's for me, I feel like it's energy transference so that they're giving you something positive and filling you up, that even in saying thank you or in perhaps your travels, you might come across a stranger and you notice something, and it's not that you're saying it just because, but you genuinely like, "Oh, wow, I wanna say something nice. Oh, look at this," or, "They helped me with this." I'm the type of person who, as you mentioned, people sometimes will just focus on the negative, and I try to focus on the positive. If I use the server at a restaurant. If I have a server at a restaurant and they were exceptional, I'm gonna ask for the manager, and sometimes they get this look on their face, and I'm like, "No, no, no, I
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah,
tell
who
them how
does
awesome you were." And so
yeah,
I
people
usually
will
have to
do
lead
that.
with that and say, "I just wanna tell your manager how awesome you are, that you just did not miss a beat." And so I take pleasure in being able to do that, and I would hope that the person wouldn't say, "Well, no, it's my," because someone could argue, "Oh, it's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do." And that may be true, but I feel their energy and and whether they may have something else going on outside of work, they've come in this job and they've shown me a certain level of respect and positivity, and I want to make sure that I'm acknowledging that. So, yeah,
See,
and
that would
so
be me. That would be me because I wouldn't want the attention. I'd be like, "Oh, I'm supposed to do this." Like, "No, no." Like,
mhm, mhm. Yeah, so we talked about receiving praise. So even in me mentioning the server, what about giving praise? Is that something that, and you mentioned this with your job setting, but even outside of your work setting, is it something you believe comes naturally for you to give praise?
does more more so than receiving it, even though I'm learning on both sides. And that's especially true with friendships. You know, as we get older, the friend list does get less, but it's like the closeness and the quality of them is different.
Mhm.
You know, I have, you know, I have friends that, totally got it together and I'm like, I want to be like that. And I have friends that, they might need a friend like me to help them feel uplifted. And so going between those worlds, I do, I do enjoy what's that word? I always see this word used and I always wanted a reason to say it, the word juxtaposition.
Yes, the side by side.
I used it always wanted to use that word. But that I don't want, the perfect scenario where everyone's fine. Like I want to help and praise and it might be you know, from having a little sister or something. I don't know. It's like I've found myself cuz praise just like, having trust and being there for someone it's a form of praise. So, if I can be there for someone, knowing that they can rely on me and trust me, like, that's my way of showing my praise to them. Like, I have one friend, um, when her daughter did gymnastics with Shayla, we would always, help carpool and stuff, and she doesn't do gymnastics anymore, but my friend still needs help, but I'll go pick her
Mhm,
up at work instead and bring her home. She's like, "You don't have to do that." I'm like, "We help each other out, friends," you know what I mean? And it's always like trying to keep it even all the time, and I remind her we're not keeping score. If I can go pick her up and I'm free, I'll go get her because I love her and I love you. It's like that's like the ultimate praise to me when it's just like I said, the whole family. It should just be automatic. And that's praise right there when knowing someone can rely on you and trust you. Like my friend that's letting me watch his dog. I'm like, oh, you trust me with your puppy. That is, and they're trying to, him and his wife are trying to figure out the best rate to pay me. And I'm just like, I'm just happy you trust me. And I
mm,
I lost my puppy and I can, love on yours. So that's me trying to give praise also. Like as friends, we're supposed to do stuff like this for each other. Like I
mhm.
shouldn't expect a payment, but if you want to give me a discount, I'll take it. So I think a lot of my praise is probably unspoken, but I do like to remind my close friends, like if you need anything. 'Cause they always tell you, check on your strong friend, check on your
Yes.
I try to remember that because one of my very best friends, like, she's the one that's got it all together, and I know that she's fine, but I also know her well enough to know that I do have to check on her because she needs her girl, you know?
Mhm.
So I try to put that into my thankful, being thankful and showing praise bucket of things to do. And every now and then someone always posts it on Facebook. Check on your strong friend.
Yes. Now, I'm just wondering, like, because you mentioned trust a few times as it pertains to offering praise. Have you ever offered false praise or maybe fudge the truth a little bit just to get a person motivated or feeling good about themselves? And I'll give an example. I think sometimes with, especially with, younger people, whether it's, your daughter or for me, it could be some of my students sometimes, and I like to say fudge the truth, where perhaps, and I will tell them, I mean, if you're not a strong writer, you're not a strong writer, but sometimes I feel like they need a little more encouragement, and while I certainly won't lie, I will try my best to find something to get them motivated, even if it's something that's really small, and then make that something grand for them to hold on to. Because I think sometimes people just need something to hold on to. And while that may not keep them motivated long term, it may allow them to progress far enough to where then they're like, okay, I can do this. Or even in having someone, and I would never pretend I don't believe, like pretend I believe in someone when I don't. I'm not saying that. But just the idea that perhaps someone's not that great at something, but you
Yeah.
still see the potential in them. I think sometimes it's best to hold back saying you're not good at this, but but just reword it in such a way to say, you know what? You have a lot of potential and I see that in you, as opposed to saying, well, you're not that great at that. I'm not sure if you've ever had a situation like that.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here as you're talking, I'm like, try to find a non-work example because work is it's like it's everything, right? It's like all of these scenarios fit in, especially with the praise part of it though. Like as a manager, that's something that and I'm thankful that I have the strengths coaching to use that for conversations. Bad part is you've just made me realize that I don't use the strengths coaching as much as I probably should. It's easy to get caught
Uh,
up in the day to day and be reactive. But if I step back and think of, a scenario where, someone's not getting something, it's looking at their top few strengths, what they mean. Cause it's almost like I it's funny, I say it's like a horoscope, which is horrible to say, but if it's your strength and you read about it, it could fit anyone really, but it really fits the person who that is their number one strength. And you can use that in ways that you talk to them and coach them. And I try to do that at work, look at the strengths part of it, because, we have a team of people and everyone's not going to be good at everything. So trying to find where that person's strength keeps, the whole team goal going. The part that's difficult is you can see when someone can see what you're doing with like if someone does something especially better than the person you're having the issue with, like, well, why are they getting more work or getting this project? Why am I not getting it?
huh.
And being able to sit and have that conversation about why, that is something that's difficult, and I know as a professor and teacher, you probably run into it all the time, and my job is most I guess I could equate it to math, it's mostly math, and it's like just like writing, you're good at it or you're not, but it's like I can help you be good enough so that you can do
Uh-huh.
what you need to do, and also I try to I always try to use myself as an example when it's something that someone's not particularly good at or it's not clicking with them right away because I've been doing what I've been doing like almost 30 years. And if I'm talking to someone that's only been doing it for 4, putting it into perspective, like, look, this is where I'm at. And it probably took me a good 10 years to understand this. So knowing that it's not clicking, but still spinning it on a real life example so they don't feel like they're totally doing something wrong.
Mhm.
Like, you've only been here 4 years. Like, when I was here 4 years, like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it either. So, you just need to see the repetition, you need to keep seeing the experience. Whenever it pops up, we get together, we go over it again. A lot of it is repetition, from my job especially. So, I've noticed for those that are struggling, when I use myself as an example or someone else more senior and let them know that, they're on the right track. Like, you're not gonna get it overnight. And telling them, like, yeah, it is math, which scares some people. The numbers never lie. And if you know what the numbers are supposed to be doing, then the hardest part is just learning that part of it.
Mhm.
And I do that with Shayla also because I struggled with math too, but I had this weird attraction to math for some reason. And, but Shayla doesn't like it. She, nothing. But the part, that's like work is you don't have to be good at it to just understand enough to do what you need to do. Like, you still have a job to do, you still have homework to finish. So that the praise part of that is not, you don't have to get an A plus or do this at my level because you're not there. But if you have good intentions and you're engaged and trying to do it, that really speaks volumes because you could just be like, ugh, I hate this and not even try.
Mhm.
So encouraging them to try or encouraging them to think outside of the box or using myself as an example. So I'm trying to be relatable. Those are the theme that comes to mind. Because I'm always same thing with my hair, I'm trying to make the person feel comfortable and downplaying it to my level. Like, well, when I was the same way, like making them feel comfortable. It's always about making them feel comfortable. I'm seeing a
Mhm.
theme here, Auntie.
Yes. And when you say that, I really like that as praise because not that last part, but what you say to Shayla is a lot of times acknowledging that someone's trying to me is a form of praise as well because you're saying I know that you may be having some difficulties, but you not giving up, you trying to remain positive, that in itself is worth acknowledging. And that's something that I always try to do as well. But I'm wondering there are people who, unlike us, they don't like to offer praise and compliments. Why do you think some people resist? And I'm not talking about because they feel awkward. They just they have the death grip on compliments and praises. And
Yeah.
you spoke a lot about work. There are some people who won't say anything. The person could be top notch and they still won't give them one compliment, one ounce of praise. Do you think there's a reason some people are that way?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what
That
the reason.
yes spoke
Well, I don't know
volumes.
the reason why. I don't
That's
know.
your your theories. You don't have to tell us about anyone by name.
Well, I do know, like, it's funny, I have a actually have a college friend, and she cracks me up. We're friends on Facebook, I haven't seen her in, you know, over 20 years probably, but she once did this post where she was talking about parents that overpraise when their kids graduate from high school. She was saying how she's like she's so funny. Just everyone acts like that's the end of the road. I'm not celebrating it till you graduate from college. It was like
Mm,
and it was just so funny. And sh that post was so funny. Her daughter just graduated from high school or something. She's like, "Yep, she ain't getting no party. She's getting nothing because she still got work to do."
mm,
So I think there's this acknowledgement that you're either doing what you're supposed to and you don't deserve praise, or you still have some work to do. So I'll encourage you, to keep it up, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat something that you're supposed to do. And, I hear that even at work where like, "Oh, just must be nice to, get compliments for what you're supposed to do." Like, even during reviews, it's like
Mm,
everyone wants a raise and everyone wants a bonus, and it's like, but should you get that if you're just doing what you're supposed to do? That everyone wants you to go above and beyond. Everyone wants more, more, more. So, I think people that don't give praise to and just from experience with family, friends, and working, it's because they think that person's just doing what they're supposed to do anyway, and it doesn't need praise.
mm. I can see
And
that.
there's times where, the inner tough DJ will probably try to think that way, but then I turn back into softy mode. I'm like, "Thank you so much." Like, I just it it makes but, like, it makes people's day, but like you said, there's that tough walnut to crack at work where they'll say thank you, but you're not gonna get much else.
Mhm.
And they might be distracted too, because same thing with the waitress example and getting their manager saying she did a great job. You know, crazy busy running around Tanya might not have had the time to do that or something. Like some people are
Mhm.
just so distracted. They're they're genuinely just not thinking. So I try to assume good intent immediately. That's always my first reaction. I assume good intent. So if someone's not doing what they're supposed to, I give them an excuse. I'm like, "Oh, well, maybe they're having a bad day.
Yeah.
Maybe they tripped on the ice this morning and it just put them in a." I'm always assuming there's a reason someone acts that way or is reacting to things a certain way. So, and then the flip side, I have another I have a coworker that when I told them that I always assume good intent and I assume the person means well, oh, I always assume the opposite. I assume they're moron and they don't know what they're doing. And I'm like, you, how do you live life?
You know what's sad is that sometimes I think that's the majority, that
Yeah.
we are the minority in that regard, where we're the ones who are saying, well, let's look at intention. Well, maybe they were having a bad day, where I think the majority of people don't even let it get to that point. They already are
Yeah.
assuming the worst in people. And that's kind of sad to think about it that way. I would like to think that it's not that way, but I have encountered my share of people who tend to lean towards that side. And I also think sometimes there are people who that's just the way they were brought up, and as a result, some people swing the pendulum to the other side, and I'm that one, where if I did not get a lot of praise, then I find the need to offer praise to other people. Whereas there's some people who I know, they say, "Well, my mom never said this to me," or "My dad never said this to me," and so they continue that on with their own children. They continue to cycle at work. Well, my boss never said anything to me and I got the job done. And that's great. And no one's saying adulation or just saying it just because it's their job. But it's amazing. There's so many studies and research out there that suggest in offering even just something as simple as a thank you. It doesn't even have to be a long drawn out praise, that it goes a long way. And I think that that's what something that's happened as a result of the pandemic, where so many people who were working at home and then they're processing things and they're having these revelations. I think a lot of people, they started drawing a conclusion, wait a minute, I am worth something, especially if they don't feel worthy or feel valued. I think that that's what I said in the very beginning when we started. One of my issues, and that's a me thing, is that I found value in receiving praise. And if I did not receive it, it didn't mean I had no value, but I then questioned it and wondered, well, am I doing a good job? Because if a person never tells you that you are, and you just assume, of course, a person can say, well, they haven't fired me yet, so I guess I'm doing okay. But I
Assume
think that, yes.
silence is no news is good news, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. So, yeah, but I mean, I'm just wondering, okay, with I was talking about different research and things of that nature. So, sometimes people avoid giving compliments to strangers. Like I said, I have absolutely no problem giving compliments to strangers. do you think it's because people feel awkward or uncomfortable? Like even with me, I like to give small talk and I will offer a compliment if it's fitting.
Yes. Yeah, I'm the queen of small talk. I could go somewhere and not know a single person. I'll small talk my way in and out of there because 'cause I'm actually more awkward if if everyone's just being silent, I'm like, "This is weird. This is weird." It's funny because Saeed picks on me all the time. He's like, "You just don't like silence, do you? Because if we're in a car, like, we gotta have chat while we're in the car. We just don't sit in the car and not talk to each other." But I wanted to actually you asking me that, I had a question about that too, is if you think that is where you were born, like an area type of
Oh,
thing.
absolutely.
Because I'm not from the Philly area. I'm from a small town in upstate New York, and
Mhm.
I feel like that also precedes me where people know, "Oh, she's from Elmira, she's nice." Like, I'm like just this sweet country girl or something. So, I do feel just in general that people from cities are more hardened, so they feel they have to put up this rough exterior, but that's not always the case because, I've met people from Philly that are I've met you, like, you're nicest as they come, so you can be from a city and still, so that kind of puts people into a category and what's the term when you classify people, like, judging books by its cover type of
A
thing?
stereotype.
Yeah, stereotype. I struggle with words these but I use juxtaposition, and don't you leave that out. But yeah, it's like I don't wanna stereotype because Philly's known for, the crazy fans, being mean, and it's easy to stereotype that way, but I've met some of the sweetest people, so I know that's not the case. So going back 'cause so I asked you that, if you think it's a territorial thing.
Absolutely. I mean, I think even a cultural thing as well, and I think
Yes,
sometimes
yes, yes.
what
Lost my train of thought,
happens.
but that's it, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think sometimes what happens is, or at least for me, what I observe is people, you mentioned me being from Philly. There are people I've encountered who do not think I'm from Philly because they say, "Really? You're really nice." And this happened. I was in Home Depot and the person, they're like, "You're not like from Virginia or somewhere in that area?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "You're so nice." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you." And then I'm like, I don't know if I should take offense as someone who was born and raised in Philly or take that as a form of praise like we were just talking about. But I will say something I love is, and this is not the intention before I say this, is when I offer someone praise and right before that, they have this sour look on their face. Perhaps they're the person at the cash register or maybe I'm checking in at the counter for a doctor's appointment or something,
Yeah.
and they look like I'm ready for this day to be over. And I say, "Hi," and it doesn't even have to be praised. "Hi, how are you?" And so then and so even I'll make small talk. "Oh, wow, I really," if there's something I like about them, I will comment on that. Even if there's not, I'll just say, "Well, I hope that you have a great day. Thank you so much for helping me today." And their demeanor, it's as though they just morph immediately and their eyes light up. This doesn't happen all the time, but more times than not. And I think that that's because it's coming from a stranger. And what am I gaining from that? It does make me feel good to make someone else feel good. So I gain that. But overall, I may not ever see this person again in life, but in knowing that I help them let their guard down if they were feeling uncomfortable or awkward or just having a bad day, that's something that makes me feel good, though.
Yeah, and back to to your point and your question about how when when people you can tell that they're awkward about it. It's almost like small talk isn't something that everyone likes. Like some
Yes.
people, they almost like roll their eyes like, "Oh, let's talk about the weather." You talk like there's these categories of things that fall under small talk and they're just I can't stand them. It's like I am good at small talk, but I try. So with your example with the doctor's office, it's like everyone says "Hello, how's your day?" Like, the typical I try to find something different to ask because everyone's like, even when someone says, "How you doing?" You go, "Good." Like, the answers are always the same. So, I always try to think of a different answer even if someone says, "Hey, DJ, how you doing?" I go, "You know what? I am fabulous." Like, I try to use a different word besides just good, or maybe even surprise them and being truthful, like, "Well, I'm having a bad day, but, I'm getting through it." But people don't wanna
Mhm.
hear that, like, they're just going through the motions sometimes. So but I try to do the same thing too, where even if they have the sour face, it's like my goal is to at least get some type of, light in their eyes or something, so
Mhm. Yes.
saying something that's not typical, like, not just "hi," but even how you say it, like, "Hello," or like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I like that top you're wearing," something like that so that they
Mhm.
get out of their head because it does it for me too.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And
Or like
so
I was like the getting on the boat, I'm so busy trying to open up the freaking wine bottles I was smuggling on. Well, they were allowed. They were allowed, but I had to unwrap them, and then when she was just like, "Oh," I was just like, "She's okay." Made me slow down because you don't know what someone's thinking about, and just that
mhm.
simple hello and have a great day. That's another thing that people are always saying, check on your strong friend. People are always saying you don't know what someone else is going through when
Yes.
you approach them. So I'm always going towards the side of grace. I give everyone grace. I'm always assuming good intent. I'm just, a sucker for all that stuff.
We definitely have that in common, and you know who else I think, gives grace a lot, except that they think they're being attacked? Dogs. So, it's like
It all comes back to
they yes, absolutely, I don't think they ever feel uncomfortable receiving praise either, you know, whether it's a
for
treat
it.
or praise or something, they love it. So, I have one last question for fun. So if you were a dog, what breed would you be and why?
Now, I'm very biased because growing up, mostly had cats. Because growing up, we mostly lived in apartments. And you couldn't have
Mhm.
a dog. So my mom loved animals. She was going to have a cat. She was going to have a hamster. She was going to have something if she couldn't have a dog. But when I was much younger, we did live with my sister's dad at one point in a house, and I think she had 2 dogs at the time, but she had a beagle and she had a poodle,
Mm.
and we had 3, and she had a boxer, and I didn't like any of those breeds, and I don't know why. There's just something about this is why I'm being biased, there's something about a Yorkie where I'm just drawn to them, and I think it's because they're so yappy. It's like if my late macho could have a conversation with me, we would talk all day because it's like, "Yep, yep, 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 yep." So, I would even if I'm not a Yorkie, I would wanna be one because to me, they're the best.
Mm.
They're the best dogs, and they're stubborn, and I see myself being a little I'm not entirely stubborn, but I don't think Yorkies are entirely stubborn either. Like, it's just
Mhm.
enough stubbornness where you're like, "Okay, I'll let you have your way."
Yes. And they're
But
cute too.
and they're the cutest, and they have great hair.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't have fur, they have hair. I think, your Zach is probably like that. They don't shed,
Mhm.
So, I love that about Yorkies, and I just love how no matter how small they are, they will stand up to anything and anybody. So, I want to be like that. I want to be like a Yorkie and make Macho proud because I saw him attack dogs 20 times his
Mm.
not attack them, but just if they were
Let
messing with
them
him,
know he can
get
handle
off of me.
himself.
Yeah, he stood up for himself, and if he can do it, then I look up to Macho from that.
Oh, that's so sweet. What
Did you
about
also
me?
think about one for me too?
I did not, but I
Well, I
actually
have one for you.
oh, you okay, what do you got?
So, when I think of you, I always think super smart, loves to exercise, and just the sweetest family person, and just a great sweet thing all around.
Cute.
And you know what? Poodle comes up, and that's what you have. You and Zach
Yes.
are You and Zach are a match made in heaven dog-wise and dog people-wise, because I believe aren't poodles, like, the 2nd most intelligent? Like,
Yes, yes, they are. Yes.
I think, I know golden
Border
retrievers are
collie,
really
I think is
border collies are super smart,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
But we're also, you're also cute, so you need a dog that doesn't shed. Nice hypoallergenic dog, but great personality. So, and I was talking with another family member about you, talking about leading up to this podcast,
Mhm.
and this person said, "She's just so intelligent." And and I was like, "You know what? I'm using that for my dog search because you are." And
Oh, you made my day.
yeah, and just not just with, 'cause you're a professor and a teacher, like, just having a social awareness that takes brains. Like, some people, they're just totally oblivious to other people, they don't really care what other people think. I think you have a good, well-rounded idea of how to make yourself and everyone around you happy without sacrificing if you can. But I feel like if you do sacrifice, it's probably yourself most of the time because you're nice.
Mm. Yes.
But
Yes
yeah,
is usually
I'm getting poodle all the way because and I didn't like my mom's poodle, but now I'm, like, obsessed with them, like, Yorkie and poodle, what's Zach? He's a mix, right? Lab
he's just a toy poodle.
he's just a
Mhm,
poodle.
mhm. But
Okay, because
I think sometimes people mix him up and think he's a golden doodle, but the golden
that's what it
doodle's
is.
tail is a bit longer and the face is a little different, but they look
They're
a lot
bigger too.
alike. Mhm,
Yeah, and they're huge. Yeah, because one of Shayla's friends, their Labradoodle looked just like Zach, but much bigger.
mhm.
Yeah, but, he's a poodle. Yeah, my mom had a white one. I just always looked at poodles as, like, these when you have the white fluffy one, that's like the rich people dog,
That's right, that's
getting
right,
it
I'm the best.
yeah, getting it cut like a bonsai tree, and and her name was Fifi. I think that was her name.
Oh, then that definitely is a foo-foo type of name too.
Yeah, her name was Fifi, and our beagle was Fufu. That's funny that you say that. Fufu and Fifi.
That's
Yes.
funny.
So, I never wanted a beagle, I just always loved Yorkies, like, I've always loved just the look of them and their personalities,
Oh,
but the toy poodle, that was, like, our backup. But I wanted the Labradoodle. I wanted the big one.
mhm. Yeah. I'm gonna have to send you this video of these Yorkies. I guess they're brother and sister maybe, and it's this guy that I follow who does different voiceovers, and it's just hilarious with these 2 dogs. I'll have to make sure to send that to you.
Bet I
Ok
follow him too.
you probably do.
You look at my Instagram feed, like, when it's kinda like your YouTube thing, like, you get in this black
Mhm.
hole, it's like, if I go to my search thing, all the stuff is Yorkies. Me and Shayla, we look at Yorkies all the time.
Oh.
We send each other videos all the time.
Oh. Okay, so fair warning, I just wanna praise you for just being such a wonderful guest today. And I really enjoyed our conversation. I feel like I got to learn even more about you. So I definitely do appreciate that so much. So thank you. But
The same.
yes, yes. So to you, the listener, thank you for listening. And if you haven't received praise lately, and even if you have, I hope that you know that you're worthy and that you see value in yourself. And I hope that you'll also share this episode with your friends and family and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at Tricks My Dog Taught Me. Until next time, when I get into week 10's poem, A Long Stretch, here's something to ponder inspired by my little guy, Zach the Toy Poodle. While it's normal to question the motives behind praise, hold on to the motivation that comes from positive affirmations and reinforcement. Take care, and I'll see you next week.